So there's a lot of caveats when it comes to stuff like that, and I don't know. It's just Clifftown. This was actually my favorite level for the longest time in this game, just because it felt so huge. And then I played other levels that were bigger, and I just like the whole idea of this level. I'll explain more as we get to it. So yeah, I do hope one day to probably get a friend on board and have them talk, so I'm not like fully destroying my throat, and that way I can make fun of myself and actually just realize how much I might zone out. I do know I wanted to like do that stuff. Also, one thing I don't think the game shows, which that one's a bad example because I already collected it. But I remember when I was 100% this, I was getting frustrated because I could not find the other gems in this level, and they're in here. Big cryptic in Insomniac, big cryptic, just like the cactus thing I was mentioning earlier, unless that's another part, which, hold on, I probably forgot. But yeah, that's I don't like that. I don't like that at all. In this level, I will be going back and forth a lot. Guaranteed a lot. Because I do sometimes get lost in this level, and I think this is definitely one where I will probably be looking for the gems and not get this one way through. Nevertheless, yeah, I guess other topics is, I guess I can talk about like Spyro and what it meant to me. Yeah, I didn't play Mario 64. I had a friend who had that little tease in 64 growing up, and basically I lived in the greatest neighborhood when it came to like playing games and growing up with video games. You little get over here. I'll explain it more after this dragon now.
How's a dragon supposed to flame metal armor anyway?
Remember, Spyro, flame won't harm metal, but charging with your horns, that should do the trick.
So what I loved doing is I had a friend who had an N64, and at the time I had another neighbor who had the Sega Saturn. So this is how I got like exposed to a lot of other games. And we kind of agreed when we were finding out about E3 through stuff like, oh, the PlayStation 2's coming out. And I remember I was like, I'm going to ask my parents for the PlayStation 2. And they weren't like, well, what's the other people doing? It's like, well, I got a Dreamcast. And we're like, okay, cool. So we'll go over to your place and play games. Like, that's how I got to first play Sonic, was with his Saturn, because he had Sonic Jam, which I do hope to get one day. And I was, of course, obsessed with that. I think that started like my platformer craze, and Crash Bandicoot helped lead a little bit more of the way. And because I wanted Sonic at home and didn't understand that it was multi-platform yet, I basically had my awesome parents who had found a PC version that was released, and I still have that version to this day. And I would love to play that in Sonic Schoolhouse if I'm able to get them running. Probably not the like Sonic 3 disc, but I would love to like show off Sonic Schoolhouse, because man, oh man, I have so much educational games from back then that it's probably a very, very interesting time to go through them. So we had that, and I had my friend who had the N64, and that's how I was discovered Rare, which I am obsessed with everything that Rare made. I still love their stuff. I know the company's not as good as it used to be honest. I know that's probably a terrible thing to say, because I am friends with a bunch of the devs through Facebook, like Robin being on insert names here.
Hey, what's on the other side of that river?
Why don't you glide there and find out?
It's rather kind of rude to say a bunch of things, but yeah, no, I love like just the humor I didn't get, and when I got her and fell in love with it. It's why I love Toy Story. It's just Rare knew what they were doing with Banjo-Kazooie and all their other platformers. And mind you, I didn't fully complete Banjo-Kazooie until like 2011. Like I got it on the Xbox Marketplace. Like that's how long it took me to finally play and beat it. And man, oh man, it was like just so thrilling. But I still prefer Spyro. I still think Spyro's great. And Banjo-Tooie, I started to play during the pandemic because I thought I was going to lose my job and I would have to stay at home or something like that. So I bought the rare replay, and basically I was like, okay, I'm going to 100% all these games. And I only really got to Conquer because I still had a job during the pandemic, so I didn't lose it. It's like I bought that and a big old Batmobile that I still have yet to build, and I know my parents are telling me to sell it, and they're probably watching this going, I thought you said you sold it. Nah, I plan on building it one day. I probably when I have like a better diorama shelf or something like that. Probably for my office or something, because I have the James Bond Aston Martin. That was a fun build. Let's see. Come here. So, yeah. So basically what led to later is like we were like, oh, so pumped because like, oh yeah, the GameCube, and my friend got the Xbox, I got the PlayStation 2 eventually after he kind of realized. So it was really weird because the Xbox is kind of considered the Dreamcast follow-up.
You've reached the highest point in Clifftown. You can get to almost anywhere from here. If I were you, I'd use that whirlwind there.
And I just love the idea of just like how it was, and it basically opened my view to a bunch of other games. And and mind you, I was really young when my parents were nice enough to give me Metal Gear Solid, because I remember like seeing the trailer for it around the same time Spyro, like when I first played Spyro, and I was young. I was not the demographic for it, but like I just remember seeing a trailer for it on a demo disc, and it felt so different that I was like, okay, I have to play this. And I remember people saying it was cinematic. I was getting into movies at the time. I was obsessed with Star Wars. And yeah. So when it came to like games, like we all had these different games for us to try. Like I'll get this if you get that. I'll get that if you get this. And eventually I moved away shortly after I got my PlayStation 3. I moved to Texas, and I was like, well, bugger, I need to get the other consoles to play. So I had to ask my parents for the Xbox 360. Before that, I think I got the Wii. The Wii I know I got first. And why an eye-opener? Because I only played Mario a couple of times with them. I never full-on played Mario with them. I'm skipping a level. There's the level. So it was such an eye-opener because Mario Galaxy was the first real Mario game I ever played, and it just left such an impression that I was like, why didn't I get a Nintendo console sooner? Because I only played like Sunshine and 64 at that time, but like it just didn't really appeal to me. Now I love them, even though I don't really care for Sunshine, but I do love Mario 64. Besides some of the jank, but I can forgive it because, listen, what other 3D platformers were there at that time? And in turn, I just basically started collecting games and trying to build up my library. Every PlayStation game I own, and this is PlayStation 1 through 5, it's in a big case, and in total it weighs roughly above 15 pounds. That's how many games I have.
A word of caution, little one. Wait until you grow big, like me, before charging those large enemies.
So, yeah, I'm a gamer. I'm a filmmaker and a gamer. What a great combo. I'd love to meet Hideo Kojima one day and pick his mind and get to know him. And hopefully maybe collaborate with him. Who knows? He might make me in Death Stranding 2, which at the time we only have that one trailer shown. So I know at the time I'm recording this, OD got announced, and I'm just like, okay, you're working with Jordan Peele. Can you invite me over? I'll be so willing just to scream in the background, just be some person who's OD'd or something. I don't care. I want to be a part of it, dude. So, yeah, that I am. To quote Devin, who I mentioned earlier, yeah, I'm a simp. I am a simp for Kojima, and I am unapologetic about that. Oh, I gotta get this. Actually, was this smart? Okay, that was almost unsmart. But at the same time, this is actually something. Did I have to go this way? I'm actually wondering. I think I skipped a few steps, actually. Oops. We'll go back to that area later. I swear I just saw an enemy. Did he just stay in place? Yeah, he did. Yeah, so since then, it's like, I got the PS4, and the first console I ever really bought for myself was actually the Wii U. So let that put in perspective about my poor life choices. First handheld was the DS because my friend had a Game Boy, and I got a Game Boy as well. This is the Nintendo person, so that's how I got to play a lot of Link Cable games. It was that way.
Thank you for releasing me.
So when it came to like that, like that friend was a really big Animal Crossing nut. So I basically kind of saw stuff from that, and what's the name of the game? Rogue Squadron, and the follow-up, which I think is just Rogue Squadron 2. I'm not sure. I'm not good with naming games. So yeah, like he had games like that. Like he usually came over to my place and we played Battlefront because I had that and he wanted it for the Xbox eventually. Because actually, hold on. No, yeah, the Sega one. Man, I'm getting my friends confused. I should just say names and then I'll really get unconfused. That way, I don't sound like a lawyer or a liar. Whatever comes first. So yeah, it wasn't until much later where I got to further enjoy. I remember getting the DS because I had a PSP, but I wanted the DS because I wanted to play Mario because, yeah, Mario Galaxy was phenomenal. And I remember, like, we're about to go on a trip, and I already had, like, one DS game, and it was actually Sonic Chronicles. Let that go in perspective of more life bad choices by me. And I wanted a different game because I didn't know it was an RPG game. Heads up, I suck at RPGs, so you will never see me play that unless if someone else plays it. If you remember my friend Devin, who I have mentioned twice in this one level, yeah, I've told him, like, yeah, if we ever play a game, because I know he loves Kingdom Hearts, yeah, he's taking over. I am watching him play, and I'm just making fun of him for liking Disney. He's probably going to get really offended when he hears that. So... yeah, that's how it's going to go. But, like, I got New Super Mario Brothers, and I remember my parents still get on to me for not really playing the PSP all that much. Like, they felt like they wasted their money on getting that for me because I only had, like, a few games for it. And I got a Mario game, and they were like, well, don't you want something else that's a little bit more up your alley? And I just basically kind of proved them wrong, and... the Luigi Casino games, they took it and played it.
You've done well, Spyro. Some dragons thought you weren't ready, but I knew they were wrong.
I'm ready, all right. Ready for what?
To believe. So, like, the Luigi Casino games, like, my mom, like, she just saw me play it and was like, oh, how do you play? And I told her how to play. And the next thing I know, I was, like, on the flight on my computer, and she was like, hey, do you still have that casino game? And I was like, yeah. And she, like, spent all my money that I gathered in that game just on Luigi Poker, basically. So, yeah, what do I know, man? I will never... I mean, I know it's rude and, like, don't fully hold karma against your parents, but, man, oh, man, you gotta admit, that is funny. Like, I don't know. I had maybe 1,000. I don't know. Whatever... is considered high in that game. I don't remember what I had. But I remember being so butthurt, like, you spent all my money? So, yeah, no, I love my mom and dad. They're awesome. I'll tell stories about them, and it really sounds like I'm making fun of them. And even if they decide to listen to this for whatever reason, they'll probably go, "Oh no, what's he gonna say?" But like, they are worried if they're embarrassing. Like, that's what kind of parents they are.
Thank you for releasing me.
No problem, Andor. I'll watch your Disney Plus show. And yeah, it's just like they are just so cool, so nice, so funny, and so memorable that I could just write a book about everything about them. I love my parents. And if you're ever wondering what my parents are like, you've already met my dad by just listening to me. I want to say I took a lot from him, and in terms of like facial structure, that was rude. Facial structure, like I definitely got that from my mom. And I'm not saying my mom's fat or anything. No, like you can look at my mom and I, and it's like, yeah, they're related. I mean, a lot of people, like, I sadly look way older than I am, and I hate that. So a lot of people think, like, whenever we're going something, it's like, oh, look at you, brother and sister. Excuse me, what?
Psst. Spyro. Some big Norks up ahead are wearing armor. And in the ice cave, armor can make their feet very slippery.
So, yeah, I love my mom and dad. I doubt I'll ever convince them to do this. I would love them to. I think the only game my dad would have done, but he sadly like had some arm pain, so he couldn't do it anymore. I think if he tried, would be Wii Bowling. And I know that makes him sound very old, but come on, Wii Bowling, man, you can't say no to that. Oh dear, I'm missing one gem. Well, that means it's time for a montage. It's right here. It's always in a spot where you don't look hard enough.